Now, here's the other thing. At some point, this whole situation had me mixed up into the lives of other people. Whether they knew it was me or even knew about me when this happened, I don't know, right? Um, the way I understand this is that if you read what was supposed to be the John McCain co-sponsored bill on election finance reform, specifically presidential election finance reform, you can see a pattern or a means by which people could be engaged in a situation where after things like the implementation of the Affordable Care Act and what I allege happened during the 2008 banking bailout, our human capital can be expropriated and then pooled and allowed to be reconfigured and reassigned as an option for execution by some political candidate that, in whatever manner, has been allowed to participate in the electoral process. And in the meantime, other people are dispossessed of their capacity for any kind of political process, much less the capacity to actually participate in an election. That's literally what I believe happened. That's why I said that the 2018 election was completely fraudulent. That's why I say this election season is completely fraudulent. 2016, I think they were means testing it. Now we're in this situation where, at least for the last 3 weeks, what keeps happening is, no, you don't get it. We nominated you. We nominated you. But there was an article on a number of women Republican candidates that were stepping up. The problem was, at the time, there was supposed to be these announcements of these Republican women that were going to announce their candidacy for public office. There was massive streaming child pornography that was being distributed all throughout different currents and different levels of society. Now, they proposed the most recent appropriations bill in its current form. It's dated for July 15th. I did not look at that until yesterday. And it was around July 15th that the escalation started. In fact, right after that bill was proposed, I caught the Supreme Court of Texas strategically coding cases that it was accepting to be about acts of violent child sex abuse, including allegations I am not continuous child sex abuse, including a case that involves a pastor. And not only that, but I take it personally because I've been reporting for over 3 years in the state of Texas alone. I haven't gotten any responses or any closeout reports, and they keep defaulting. I just this morning saw a specific agency in the state of Texas that I've filed numerous reports with in the last 3 years. They didn't get back to me, but they started coding reports for that agency in the state of Texas to correlate with reports that they had open numbers on connected to me. And now I'm hearing this, we nominated you, we nominated you. Who did you nominate? Because I'm a woman in Texas, and even if I agreed or said or announced that I was Republican, I know what the men in the Republican Party think of Republican women in leadership. Even the senator, the former attorney general, had to make sure he got his benchmark in on decrying the head of the Texas Republican Party when she was calling out the escalations that have been going on in these municipalities and saying that she believed that there were racial motivations in terms of the situations. She's absolutely correct. Now, you may not like that the analysis is coming from somebody identified as a Republican, but why isn't anybody saying anything about the opportunistic men in the Republican Party that are decrying her while they're setting up completely disingenuous and fraudulent deals, ostensibly to cover their asses for their own history regarding racial justice. I'm just saying, what did you expect when you left me for over 5 years in complete political isolation? You defaulted report after report after report after report. You let the Supreme Court of the United States send back 3 original petitions discussing a pattern of racketeering activity involving the federal budget process, and you let them schedule and decide on a case talking about basically using the shell funding for the Soros Foundation in order to try to collect dues on strategically placed acts of prostitution, while the State Department is refusing to adhere to domestic legal standards regarding its reporting to the Department of Treasury in a connection with both domestic and foreign origin transactions. What do you think you're doing? What kind of leadership did you think you were going to get? And who would you nominate for what? I'm just asking. The only thing I want to be nominated for is an appointment to bust the racket that's become the federal budget process. I really would like if people would actually just look at the first 2 pages of that bill. Just look at the first 2 pages of the appropriations bill and then tell me why every single member of the House of Representatives right now, starting with the Appropriations Committee, is not under arrest.